This is dinner. And yes, it's a bunch of processed food. This recipe goes back to when I was a new bride in 1972 and was making a lot of quick and easy foods. I actually left home to set up my own household having no clue how to cook. And I bought the ingredients to make this last week when we were in our second week of sub-freezing temperatures, and obviously I felt like macaroni and cheese of some kind, and the Hubs has been begging for hot dogs, which are just not very often in our house. And as you can see, this is a collection of not necessarily things that are very good for you, but it's a comfort food dinner that every now and then it shows up, probably maybe only once or twice a year, but hey, it's time. And the only difference, the only change I've made in the recipe over the years is we only get beef hot dogs now. Not that I think they're particularly good for you. And we get gluten-free noodles nowadays. It couldn't be a simpler recipe. I think that's why it appealed to me as a young bride, which is one of the reasons why I still have an affection for this recipe. What you do is you saute up onions and hot dogs, and you boil noodles, and then you mix your onions and your hot dogs and your can of cheddar cheese soup, or probably there's no cheese in it, but you know what I mean. And the noodles and sharp cheddar cheese and caraway seeds, and then you bake it for 30 minutes or so at 350. So yeah, can you imagine? It was the kind of meal that I thought was rather gourmet in 1972. And every now and then I got rid of a lot of the recipes in my book that went back to those days that honestly I just wouldn't consider making again. But there's a few things that there's lots of reasons why I enjoy going back to them every now and then, and this would be one of them. I can't say I'm proud of this recipe, but I can tell you we will enjoy this dinner. So my dad sent me some pictures. He has been scanning all the family pictures and putting them on discs, and then he sends the discs to me, but he found some pictures he hadn't yet put on the discs. And I just thought I would share this with you. This is me and my little brother in 1958. Yeah, Dad's really good about putting down the date and the places of the pictures. And then I'm assuming about the same time, because I look kind of the same and I'm wearing the same dress, but this is not in Florida. This would be up in Philadelphia at my grandparents' home. That's my mom and my dad. And of course my brother and I. Check out the hat. Oh my God, that's so cute. And that is my dad's mom. And this is the woman that I look the most like in the family. I look the most like her. She passed away when I was 11, and my grandfather remarried an amazing woman, so I was actually blessed with two amazing, wonderful paternal grandparents. And here is, oh my, this one I just love. I've often in my videos talked about the most important man in my life was my pop-pop, and I just love that here is a picture of my pop-pop. And of course my brother and I. My brother's 16 months younger than I am. And he's still a best bud. And for a certain friend of mine who lives in Georgia, this is on Kennesaw Mountain. When we lived in Marietta, Kennesaw Mountain was a favorite place for us to go as a family. A little trip back in time to the late 50s. So we're just out riding around today, just riding for the heck of it, not because we have errands, we're just out. And I thought I'd turn the camera on as we drove through our little hometown. That was the local Episcopal church. Most of the buildings in here, as you can probably tell as we get down this part of this is the main street, were built in the 1700s. And that is the Historical Society in front of us, right? Yeah. So I shared with you dinner from last night, which I didn't put on yesterday's video because the video was too long. This is my contribution to tonight's video, to tonight's dinner, which is stewed green beans. We are going to the monthly potluck for our community. And I swore last month I was going to make vegetables because last month the only thing on the table was pasta, rice, and potatoes, and while I like each one of them, to look at 30 versions of them totally turned my stomach, and I didn't want to eat last time. So I decided this time I would bring vegetables that were healthy. If nothing else, I'd have them. So maybe tonight everybody will bring vegetables. We will see. But that's the thing about a potluck. You never know what's going to show up. But last month's potluck was really a strange one. So, the end of... Hello, bad boy. Want to come say hi? You want to come say hi? There's somebody say hi for y'all. He's just been picking on Bogey. Did I ever tell you? I mean, some of you know. But those of you who are members of the Ernie fan club here on my channel. Did I ever tell you he's a big bully? Yeah, one thing about French bulldogs is you're reminded that you have a bulldog. So he decided to pick on Bogey tonight. Poor Bogey, who never causes problems with anybody. But he was a punching bag by a French bulldog tonight. Although Bogey, all 9 pounds of him, stands up for himself rather powerfully. So anyway, I thought I'd just do a wrapping up vlog for the night. I don't even remember. Sometimes at the end of the day, when I download the snippets from the day, I actually have no recollection of what I took videos or pictures of during the day. And I don't remember what it is I'm going to be uploading for tonight. Here's my theory when it comes to these vlogs. Whatever I take, I just hook them all together and upload them. That's how you get the rough cut version, because I don't do much in the way of editing. So the day ended with going to the potluck dinner at our community center, and it was delightful. Yeah, I'm always reluctant to go. You know, these people are, in general, at this potluck in particular, this camera's kind of crooked, isn't it? Let's see if I can get you. Is that better? That might be better. So where am I? Yeah, I chased Ernie around the house and now I'm all discombobulated. So, the people who attend this potluck dinner are generally about 15 years older than Roger and I, so, you know, really these people are older than dirt because we're sneaking up on that. We're not there yet, but we're in the waiting room for older than dirt. And I really don't like the fact that you're tilted. Hopefully that's better. I'm feeling... I have decided I'm tired of fiddling with a tripod for these, so I'm sticking the camera on top of things. And I have that big fisherman's ball thing. Here, this. Here, you can see this wonderful apparition that I have. This is where my camera is sitting, on top of this. Because it's easier to stick a couple of books on top of that. Then getting out the... There we go, that's more even. Now I feel so much better. Oh well, it's the Libra in me. Everything has to be balanced. So anyway, 15 years older than Roger and I is another generation. Very different lives, very different priorities, very different places in life at the moment. Absolutely delightful people here in our neighborhood. There's no doubt about that. We do love these people dearly. But I don't really look forward to these monthly potlucks. I feel more of a responsibility to be part of it. In fact, Roger and I coordinate them at this point. Remember what I told you about my personality is such that I don't tend to put my toe into something. I tend to just jump into it. That's how I didn't just become a member of a coven in the 70s. That's how I had to be a priestess and then become a high priestess when I became involved in working to hive off members of our group into new groups. No small thing for me. I always tend to jump in, sometimes over my head. I haven't drowned yet. So anyway, we started out by going to these dinners and ended up coordinating the dinners out of respect for the older people, who some of them have been doing it for like 20 years, and in all honesty, they're either tired or it's actually too difficult for them. So we're glad to do it, but in general, it's not an evening I particularly look forward to. So I get kind of like, is it worth doing all this stuff for? And then I go, and every time I go, I'm so grateful to be amongst these older people. They've taught me so much. It's like having grandparents again in some ways. The wisdom of their years and their life experiences, their attitudes, their sense of humor. One of them is celebrating their 63rd, yes, 63rd wedding anniversary. And yeah, as part of this dinner, we have to ask me, not we, me, has to ask who's having birthdays, and then we have to sing happy birthday for everybody having happy birthday that month. And then we ask about anniversaries, and then we, meaning me, leads us in singing happy anniversary. Yeah. But to think of these two, 63 years together, and I teased her about the fact that, you know, he must have been her first kiss. Just think 63 years is a long time to be together. And she said, oh no, oh no. I kissed a lot of boys before I kissed him. Is that the cutest thing for a, I guess she's very late 70s, maybe 80. But it was another enjoyable evening with the elders in our community. And then afterwards, what we've done is I've started taking a big bottle of wine and plastic wine glasses, and I always, as part of my announcements every time, say anybody who would like to stay, we've got a bottle of wine to share, and you're welcome to stay. And what's happening is there's kind of like a subgroup of, I'm trying to think of the word, there's not, subgroup's not the word I was trying to think of, there's another word for a group within a group that stays afterwards, and we end up with a big table of people just drinking wine and enjoying each other's company. And they're either folks who are closer to Roger and I's age, or they're folks who are very lighthearted. They're young at heart. And we just had a wonderful, wonderful time. And I just have to remember, every month this comes around, I start dragging feet going, oh, I want to turn this responsibility over to someone else. I don't want to do it. And then every time I'm actually there, I'm just so grateful for the presence of these people in my life. I really am. I don't underestimate their inspiration and their influence and their kindness and their collected wisdom. But I just leave there feeling, I hope I age as gracefully as these people have been aging. And they have so much to teach. So much to teach. You know, when you're in a conversation with somebody who at the same time has just lost the last of their brothers and sisters, they're the last remaining person in their family, who's also celebrating the first birth of a great-grandchild at the same time. And there's always a sense of, dare I say, mirth and reverence amongst these older people and the way they look at the world. Yeah, they're really a blessing to me, and I have to remember next month when I start dragging feet, wishing someone would just take this over from me, this responsibility of coordinating the dinner. Next month I have to stop and think, what an opportunity to be in service to the elders in our society, in any way, in any way. And it's such a small thing, really, for me to do. I was telling all the people in YouTube land what a bad boy you are. We gotta put some Vaseline on your nose, honey. It's drying up. Your nose is gonna dry up and fall off. It's Vaseline time. Uh-oh, he left. He thinks he can avoid the Vaseline. He cannot. She says, as she heads off to get the Vaseline jar.